Welcome to Christ in the Old Testament, part 1 of 2. Tonight's training topics are actually very exciting. This is a two-part series. Tonight we're going to look at recommended resources and book finding strategies. Then we're going to discuss some key terms and topics for searching. Because remember, tonight we're trying to discover Christ in the Old Testament and what are the strategies to do that. We'll have a brief discussion on rules of interpretation that will be critical to guide you in this process. And then number 4, we'll look at New Testament scriptures revealing Christ in the Old Testament. We'll talk about the basis for our study. We'll talk about prophecies concerning Christ. And we'll look at some pictures revealing Christ. Number 5, we'll look at Bible structure and Christ. And then number 6, we'll begin our adventure in identifying Christophanies. Then in part 2, we're actually going to talk about individuals in the Old Testament who served as types for Christ. We'll talk about ceremonies, rituals as pictures or foreshadows of Christ. That'll be including the tabernacle, the feast, and much more. This series is really going to show you how the Old Testament and New Testament is so connected. And you will be amazed tonight in the discoveries that we're going to share. This is really a fun topic to study. Now, where are we in our webinars? Well, we're in the third Monday of the month, and that puts us at Christ in the Old Testament. So 1 month from tonight, we'll be doing Christ in the Old Testament, Part 2. We've still got some Study Important Doctrine series left for the rest of the year. We're going to be focusing on husbands, number 11, and wives, number 12, and then begin to look at studying genre, how to study poetry in different parts of the books of the Bible with your Logos software. Just a quick reminder, we do have free live training not only the third Monday of the month, but 2 other times as well. The first Monday of every month, we have a series, a webinar, and that's going to be our Study Important Doctrine series, The Christian Work Ethic, how to study and understand what God calls each of us to do. And then again next month we'll have Christ in the Old Testament Part 2. And then next Monday, August 27th, we'll be continuing in our Mastering Your Library series, Theological Resources. And if you haven't had a chance to see those first two, the first one being on commentaries and the second one being on dictionaries and lexicons, you got to go and get those. These webinars are designed to help you not only discover what are the best books to have in your library, but how to really use them for the purpose of studying the Bible and preparing sermons. Very rich. Now, you can sign up for these at LearnLogos.com/webinar. And another thing to remind you is that we will send out an email link within 24 to 48 hours, so you can download this webinar. We make it available live for free and then charge only $4.99 to take it home. There's so much information in here, you're going to definitely want to do that. If you haven't had a chance to purchase our in-depth training, take advantage of our 50% off special. It's over 17 hours of training, 305 videos. It's the most comprehensive training out there and also the most affordable. And the orange and green CD show you every single feature in the Logos 4 platform. And we come with that with 2 guarantees. The first guarantee is if you find a feature we haven't covered in our training, we'll give that video to you for free. And then second, any update that Logos makes to version 4, we will update those videos for free via a download, so your training is never out of date. The 2 blue CDs are a wonderful addition to the collection. The first of the 2 gives you 11 Bible study lectures and over 130 book overviews organized by the steps in the Bible study process. So books on prayer, books on word studies, etc. The second CD helps you apply all that you've learned for the purpose of studying the Bible and preparing a sermon. And we break that down into 11 easy-to-follow steps. This is all bundled together. It's available as a download, as separate DVDs if you want to order it through the mail, or both. And you can get those downloads immediately as soon as you place the order. Very excited to offer that. Don't forget that we've got mini seminars coming to a city near you. So if you're interested in having us come by, email me at miniseminars@LearnLogos.com and mention your city and state in the subject line. That's all you need to put down there. We're not ready for that yet. So let's go back to our topic. Let's see. One other thing to point out that comes with this webinar that I think you're all going to appreciate is every webinar going forward now includes a personal book. That's right. We're going to give you at LearnLogos.com my notes. So everything that I show you tonight has been documented. As you can see here, we've got the rules, we've got links to books. You'll see this, and I'll be using this throughout the night. So all the notes, all the links, all the cross-references is organized into a personal book, so you can put that inside your Logos library, watch the video, and click as you go. This is an amazing resource in addition to the webinar that you'll certainly enjoy and allow you to get more out of the training you purchased. Okay, well, let's begin right away with probably something that's very important, and that is the recommended resources and book finding strategies. The good news is there's not that many resources that you need to get to study this topic. Even though this topic is huge, there's some really excellent resources out there. And so let's talk. I'm going to move this a little bit off the screen, so we have more viewing space here. But let's begin first by just talking about creating a collection. So as you get resources, you're going to want to create a collection and then organize that so that when you do searching for Christ in the Old Testament, you're only searching those books and no other. Very important search strategy. So I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to go to Collections. And I'm going to click Open. And I've already created this, so I'm going to type it as Christ in the Old Testament Direct Resources. And you can see that I've got this rule right here, and this rule is included in the personal book. So don't try to go crazy typing it all out, because it's a very long rule, as you can see there. In fact, I will fill up the screen so at least you can see most of it. And these are some of the resources that Logos has in dealing with this. And sorry for that little typo error. I will get that corrected right there. There we go. Thank you. All right, I got a little fat finger there. So I do recommend that you create a collection where you're going to begin to gather all your resources. And that way, as I said earlier, you can search for those and those alone. So let's now take a look at specific resources that you can get at LearnLogos.com. The first one I want to bring out is the I always think of this as Rip Van Winkle. He's P. Van Winkle, so I don't know if he's related to Rip, but it's called the Christophanies. Now, the title is slightly misleading because it's only the Christophanies in the New Testament. And when you think of this term Christophanies, if you've ever even been exposed to that term, that is normally thought of Old Testament appearances. But what they're getting at is those appearances of Christ after the resurrection, because technically those are Christophanies too. When he was on earth in his human form, fully God and yet fully man, they don't call those Christophanies. So Christophanies fall in two categories: those prior to his the birth, the virgin birth, and those after the resurrection. So let's go ahead and open up this book and show you how it's organized. This is really, really neat book. Okay, so what he's done is he gives you kind of an explanation of these Christophanies, and he breaks them down, and he's categorized them into 17 appearances of Christ after the resurrection. And this is really good. So what it is a study of each of these 17 appearances of Christ after the resurrection, and then the author goes in and tries to explain the purpose behind that specific Christophany. In other words, when Jesus came back after the resurrection and made these 17 appearances, he did it for a purpose and for a reason. And this book will bring those out. And let me see if I can show you those right here. He talks about a new relationship, the kingdom, his ministry present as high on as an advocate, his ministry on high as priest, talks about the church, the new nation, the new era, a new order of things, a witness, difficulties at Jerusalem, the party, and then talks about Israel's rejection and the rejection of Israel and so forth. So this is a really, really exciting book that will help you to understand all the future appearances of Christ. And in fact, let me go right down here and expand all these, and you can see specifically as I get these out. Let's get them all here. There we go. So we have the kingdom and all his ministries. You can see there the Jerusalem, testimony in Rome, the rapture of the church, the national restoration of Israel, and future judgment. So quite an interesting list. Definitely want to take advantage of this resource. Okay, and once you get this resource, you can add that to your collections. And the way I did that one, let's see how I did that one. Oh yeah, I did title colon Christophanies, and that will help us add this book to the collection. All right, let's go to our next resource. It's put out by James Borland, and it's called Christ in the Old Testament. Now, this is another excellent in-depth resource. Let's go ahead and open it up and take a little bit closer look at what the author has done. So the first thing is the author's going to do is define it and distinguish it from other phenomena, and that'll be really important for us. He'll show you how to prove it is an appearance of God, and throughout while he's doing this, he's got examples. So, for example, the angel of the Lord in a Christophany was deity. He gets into the Greek and the Hebrew, actually. He gives you transliterations so you can do that, so you can search on these. And he begins to give you the ways to identify, and we'll cover some of those tonight, how to identify if an appearance was Christ or not. He'll talk about the form of the Christophany. He'll talk about the theology implications, and then he'll give you a brief outline on interpretation. Very important how throughout time the different ways that people have looked at this issue. Talks about Melchizedek and why it is not a Christophany. So some real good, interesting articles. Talks about Appendix 3, 5 men who met God face to face, and some practical lessons. And of course, there's an index of names, scriptures, and subjects. So this is an absolute must-have in your study of Christophanies. Let's go to the next one, and this one is another handy resource because it's done in a sermonic way, and it's part of a collection, AMG's Bible Essentials, and it's Christ in the Old Testament, sermons on the foreshadowing of our Lord in the Old Testament history, ceremony, and prophecy. Now, because this is a sermonic type of resource, sermons, this can be a little bit different approach. And of course, this is Charles Spurgeon, the Prince of Preachers, one of the great preachers. And so he'll pick a passage and begin to talk about this particular attribute or Christophany or picture. And so what Charles Spurgeon is trying to do is show you how these events picture Christ, and that we can glean from them insights into who Christ is and his coming and so forth. And so there's a wonderful set of resources in here, quite a few, as you can see there. Excellent resource. All right, let's go to the next one. And again, feel free along the way to jump in and add your thoughts and questions and so forth. The next resource I want to introduce you to is by Don Fortner, Discovering Christ in All the Scriptures. Now, oops, I got a link. Let me go to the link there. Okay. And now he sells this book in 6 volumes. And in addition to the 6 volumes, there's also, here, let me sign out. I want to make sure I get the prices accurate. There we go, $99. There we go. I have academic pricing because I'm a professor, and so I apologize for that. And then there's the additional 8 volumes. So if you wanted to get the whole set by Don Fortner, it's 14 volumes in all. Now, what makes this resource really unique and powerful is the fact, for example, here we have Discovering Christ in All the Scriptures. Now, this is one of the 14 books. The reason I like this one is he takes you through from Genesis all the way through Revelation. And he's summarizing for you in a commentary fashion all the different Christophanies in the books, as well as insights into the pictures that are foreshadowing Christ's coming. So this is very thorough work and a great resource. So here we go. Just to give you an example, Genesis, he talks about the book of beginnings, and he gives you some cross references. He talks about, like, for example, here's a picture of redemption. Mentions Joseph in Genesis chapter 50. Talks about evidence of inspiration and divinely authoritative. So he's giving you some additional insights about the book of Genesis as well, and talking about it's more than history. And then here we go into the commentaries. Chapters 1 and 2, creation. Let's see. He is our creator. This is what the Holy Spirit shows us in Genesis 1 and 2. And then he gives you the New Testament cross-reference. All things were created by him. So it's creating this continuity between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And because it's organized book by book, if you happen to be studying in any particular book of the Bible, you could turn here and look for Christological insights. So this is a very helpful resource for the simple fact of its organizational structure structure. And so not every chapter is going to have a comment, but the key chapters he will address. And in the case